Hello there, everybody. I am Red from the Senmo Robots crew, and welcome back to First Impressions. So, this First Impression is, of course, one of my favorite trilogy games, which is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I was super amped about this game because I played the first Witcher, God, forever ago, probably a couple years back. And then I played the second Witcher just in anticipation, really enjoyed that game too. It was just overall a fantastic experience. This third one was literally mind-blowing, I'll tell you that right now. There was so much to do, and graphically speaking, it was phenomenal. It was a great game that they made. Oh my god, I just could not believe how far they've come over the time that they've made this game. Or at least made this trilogy, really. So for those of you who don't play The Witcher or don't really know it that well, The Witcher 3 is based off of, well, The Witcher series is based off a book series. I don't remember exactly who wrote it or what it was called, but we'll link it in the subscription, not subscription, but in the comments below, so that you guys can check it out and see for yourself where it gets its roots from and where it's based from. Now, the world of The Witcher is pretty rich, and as you can see here, at this part of this junction, I'm actually fighting these monsters. These are ghouls, and I played this on one of the hardest difficulties. I played this on Death March, and oh man, I went into this battle not prepared for anything. I had some potions, you can see in the left corner there, like I had a Swallow and a Tawny Owl. One of those is for health, the other one is for stamina, so that I could use more spells more often or things like that, but I wasn't using right oils or other substances that would have made this battle much easier. It was, yeah, it was a learning curve, and this game has a pretty good one. But overall, again, I really enjoyed this, and you can see right here, I'm really struggling to fight this ghoul, because he's just about par with my level. If you look around the edges of the screen, you can actually see the green kind of goopy substance kind of popping up. That's because, even though there's potions in this game, the potions are toxic. Like, very toxic. For humans, they're deadly. Like, if they take one drink of it, they'll likely die. Witchers are specifically augmented to be able to absorb these potions, but even then, the toxicity is still really high in these things. And if you drink too much, you'll actually start losing health. As you can see, my health bar actually changes because I'm right on the verge of, like, toxic shock, really. Like, he is right about the point where he's gonna start dying. That took me bloody forever to kill that stupid ghoul. Man.
Thank you, sir. Saved our rides, you did. Here, take it. Your pay, and a share of the horse and loot fortress to dig up the dead.
So in this one, in The Witcher 3, they actually gave you more world to explore and a lot to do. This was primarily coming from just doing a mission right now, because right now in this part of the game, I was trying to get across what they call the Pontar, which is basically this moat separating one part of the city to the next, which I needed to get to Novigrad in order to meet up with someone else, to do something else, to find someone else. And so I was trying to get this pass from this guy, and you'll see right here that I actually kind of mess it up a little bit. But right now I'm just collecting all the stuff you need to brew your potions and to make your weapons and your armor and everything like that. I'll tell you right now, the armor you see me wearing in this, that's an armor I literally wore for probably 3/4 of the game, just because I liked the way it looked. It was pretty entertaining. I didn't really discover newer armors until much later, because I was too focused on making sure my Witcher looked badass in all of his cutscenes and everything like that. I definitely didn't suffer for it. It was interesting because they don't exactly punish you for choosing lighter armor, even if the armor is less levels than other stuff. But there's differences for everything you wear. Here's the guy who gave me the original quest. This was the guy. Yeah, you can see right here I had a couple choices, but not really. Yep.
I actually ran into your brother-in-law. Tended to the monsters too, but
yeah, he died. He died for sure. Wasn't even my fault. I didn't even know.
You're pulling me leg.
Yeah, see, so this is where I failed. I actually failed this quest. In the total of playing through The Witcher 3, I think I failed a total of 2 quests. This was on accident. I didn't mean to fail this one. The second quest I failed much later. That was on purpose, because I did not care enough to actually complete that quest. But overall, like I said, this is an awesome game. Like I was saying with the armors, they don't really punish you for wearing lighter armor. It does give you more mobility and your stamina regenerates faster. But you can take less hits. It kind of functions properly as armor should. I mean, when I started wearing heavier armor towards the end of the game, it was like my stamina regenerated like crap. Like I could barely cast spells as fast as I needed to, which I needed to much faster. But I could take a lot more damage. I was a lot healthier overall. A lot of this game is about traveling. It's a lot of traversing. Like even with fast travel, they minimized how much fast travel you could actually do. Like you have to go to specific little cross posts. Like the postmarks that they would mark which way a city was. They actually would put those out there, and they would show, and they'd be like, all right, this is where you are. These are the ones you can go to, and you can only go to other like crossroads in which those posts were up. And mind you, it helped a lot, but they also sped up time. So if it's like, as you can see in the game, I believe it says like 7 something p.m. If I were to use one of those fast travels, it would jump me to another one. Alright, so I sped up the gameplay a little bit. This is me taking on another quest for a sorceress. Her name was Kara. And she was a former sorceress of Foltest, who was the king of Temeria. He's dead. He was killed in the second game. But yeah, and so she has a quest she specifically wants you to work on because of this island and everything. I wanted to show this off too because it gave you a new mode of transportation. Aside from the horse, which was never in the Witcher's game, it gave you the possibility of like using ships, using boats to get places. It's not so prominent here. There's another land that they have called Skellige. Oh my gosh, if you don't have a boat, you can't get nowhere. But it was a cool addition to a game that already had so many cool additions to it. Ship travel is really cool. That you can damage the boat so that you're not able to actually use the ship anymore. Creatures can come fight you. Oh god, here she goes. Yep.
Almost
there she is.
Splendid. I shall contact you again soon.
Wait.
No.
This Xenovox. Can
It's
I
one way.
contact you with it, or is it one
Sucker.
One way only, I'm afraid.
No. She was,
Your what?
My feminine intuition.
yeah, I mean, she was a good... every character you meet and develop in this game is truly fantastic. Because, like, every person, like, don't get me wrong, like, you can't walk up to a random, like, character, just like some random peasant, and have them have a personality. That's a lot of work. I'll tell you that right now. That would be so much work for the developers and everything. But for every character that was important to any part of the story, whether it just be like a one-time quest, or you're meeting them for maybe like 2 minutes at a time, even the rock trolls had interesting personalities. They were entertaining as well. They gave everyone a good sense of being a person and living in this world. And don't get me wrong, this world sucks. This is a terrible, terrible place to live.
On the Isle yet?
See, I mean, there's monsters everywhere.
What?
There's just...
Can't hear. Broke already.
Geralt is not a huge fan of magic. He is definitely a, yeah. He does not care for magic. This is when I kind of started to... no, that's a lie. I'm definitely not figuring out anything more, because this is shortly after what I did before with the papers, where I still haven't figured out proper oils and everything, and actually looking at my bestiary to determine what the best... Oh, see, this is where I was making a mistake. They blow up. These guys explode. And I should have been looking at the bestiary, which tells you exactly, like, what they are, what they're weak against. Kind of gives you descriptions about them, too. But, I mean, the basic premise is, if it's a monster, use your silver sword. If it's human, use your steel sword. But, you know, like I was saying before, this world sucks. This reminds me a lot of Gears. The Gears of War world, where it's just a terrible, terrible place to live. Everything about that planet is trying to kill you. Here, it's not so much the planet's fault as it is, like, you know, magically induced. It's kind of, it's a crazy, crazy thing. I would really highly recommend you go look it up. Go Wikipedia, go look at the Witcher Wiki. Because if you live in a world where you have to specifically create a cast of soldiers who go and kill monsters just kill monsters because the monsters are too badass to be killed by normal people, there's definitely something wrong with your world. Especially a practice that, for Witchers to be made, it's, this is me getting into the lore, because I really enjoy lores of games. It gets into, a trial, they call it the Trial of Grasses at the very end, and that, only 3 out of 10 people survive, and they're usually kids. They're children. But it's crazy intense. This is actually coming up to the end of this clip, and here we are in Skellige.
Said you were gonna go on 3.
I did. Look, we must search the area.
So,
Yen.
this right here is,
Gotta tell me
Yennefer.
what this is about.
She is...
But you already
Yep.
know. A djinn's power is priceless.
She is, one of the first people Geralt ever fell in love with, from the first game.
But I also want to know how you plan to use it. Wouldn't go to these
See, you
lengths
can
if it
see,
wasn't
I
so
wore this armor forever.
You're right. It's important.
Even very important. They had some weird lines sometimes, but they were really good.
How
This
long
is a
has
good
this been
explanation
going
right here,
on
what's
now?
happening.
This thing between us. 15, 20 years? We repeatedly split up, then returned to one another.
Yes.
Something draws us to each other, but I can never be certain if it's a true feeling or merely a bit of mischief by a djinn.
So that's it. This is about my last wish.
So,
You asked that djinn to bind us together forever.
I'll give it a
want to ask
moment.
this one
So what they're
too.
talking about right there is that,
Why
in the
would
first
you want to
game,
do that?
Geralt was actually killed during a riot in Rivia.
We'll still matter to one another.
And during his final moments, he made a wish to a djinn. So djinns are like genies. But he made a wish to a djinn that said they would be together forever. He was being real sentimental then. I mean, like, those were his dying moments, and that's what he was doing. He really was in love with Yennefer. I keep wanting to call her Jennifer, but it's not Jennifer, it's Yennefer. But those were his final moments, and that's what he asked for, was that they would be together forever. So this mission is literally Yen trying to make sure that their love is real and not fabricated by the djinn.
His ship to a mountaintop.
He didn't necessarily. Djinns are inherently mischievous. This one might have granted his wish and perverted it.
Yeah. This is kind of an example of, like, what you can do as the Witcher. They call it the Witcher sense. It's supposed to show off his enhanced senses compared to humans, because he is a mutant. Literally, he is mutated from the inside. So his senses are stronger. His eyes are all janky, because they're kind of like cat eyes, and they're like that for a reason, because they absorb more light, and he can see things better in the dark. He can up his metabolism and everything. But yeah, again, this Witcher sense gives him an advantage because he can see things that other people can't find. He can find footprints, he can find blood trails, he can find things that are like old. It's like just a Witcher thing they can do. He can see in the dark. It's pretty crazy.
Suddenly tipped to one side.
You got squished. I'll tell you right now, the X mechanic of this game was really bothersome sometimes, because, like, you would try to click something and you'd be like, ah, and you like, instead of lifting or doing something, you would instead, like, light something. You would ignite something, use X to ignite a candle, because you have the Igni sign, which is fire, and you're just like, that's not what I wanted to do.
It's Amos. Looks exactly like the etching in the book. Except his head was intact.
His head was intact. Now he got squished.
Think the djinn did this to him?
No, it wouldn't attack its master. This was
Yeah,
rather
well,
like an unfortunate accident. When the storm
This was also a long quest line. I had to do quite a few things before I could even get to this point, which is, this is the end of this quest. I also showed this part because it had no spoiler for story-wise. Like, if you really like the story between Yen and Geralt, I'm sorry, then this is kind of spoiling something. I'll put up a thing in the side, just be like, hey, spoiler. But otherwise, this didn't spoil any of the main story. It doesn't talk about what he's doing, where he's going, what's next on his list of things to do. So I figured it'd be good to show cinematic stuff and gameplay, because they look so damn similar at this point. Yeah, and so this is coming up. This is Yen actually getting ready to summon the djinn and kind of get things together. This is, I don't know, I really enjoyed this moment too, because the cinematic storytelling of this game was amazing. It was so well done. every interaction that he had a deep interaction with, like this moment. He had a moment where he's like drinking with other Witchers, and it's hilarious. Oh my god, I love that. If I ever find that moment again, I'm just gonna record that and keep it and post that just because of how awesome and fun it was. But this showcases like how far someone like Geralt, someone who is just a paid mercenary, is willing to go for someone he cares about deeply. And for me, that resonates quite a bit. This was a stupid fight. I hated this fight. As you can see right there, I used a sign which basically causes an explosion. It's called Quen. It's a shield protective one, but again, if you don't have enough stamina, it's really hard to do. You know, as many things are, when you do, many creatures are in this game. If it's monster, you fight it with silver. And as you can see in the top, very top middle of the screen, there's actually a health bar. And it always does that for like boss. If you're a boss monster, or if you're a monster that's relevant to like a quest that they consider needs to be the #1 on there, then that's exactly the kind of bar it gets. It's kind of annoying because it wasn't over their head, which made targeting them really frustrating. Teleportation was also frustrating as hell because they purposely implement a mechanic so that you can target creatures and you can make your fight easier. This was less than doable with creatures that either turned invisible or teleported. And don't get me wrong, that makes complete sense. Like, if you teleport away, I have to reorient myself and get your location again. If you turn invisible, I get that. I have to be able to find you again. It was just really, I don't know, it just bothered me quite a bit because I'd have to re-click the stick and move on and everything like that. It was just kind of a big ball of whatever. But overall, I really, really enjoyed this game. This game deserves at least a 9.5. I'll probably say 9, to be honest, because this game had a lot of bugs. I don't know if you have Eternity. No. So yeah, this is more story, more build-up. Here we go. Probably the only thing that was kind of somewhat disappointing about this moment, which really isn't anything because it was a great build-up and everything, was that the choice of being together was basically like broken down to this moment. You basically get to choose if you want to be with Yen or if you don't. And that's cool, but I don't know. There was so much development, and honestly, I fell for it so hard. I fell into that relationship so hard. I was like, Yen. Yes, it's always Yen.
Maybe we should
But like I said, I definitely give The Witcher 3 a 9.5. Just because now I'm remembering how good it is. And there was a lot of bugs, a lot of glitches and everything like that. One that really frustrated me with the armor and everything like that. But it all made it. The entire experience was a fantastic one. I highly recommend you check out The Witcher 3, whether for PC or console. PC, they're coming out with a new patch for it soon, so definitely check it out. But as always, guys, I am Red from the Cinema Robots crew. Always remember who you are and what you are, and don't go cause any trouble out there in those crazy, crazy Witcher worlds. And always remember,
anything's different.
monsters are stupid. And Witchers are the bomb. Enjoy.
I thought you'd become a stranger to me, that I'd look at you and not feel a thing. But it's not like that at all. Nothing's changed.
Jin might have cheated us after all.
Why?
Because I don't feel that anything's changed either. I love you, Yen.
And I love you.
Oh, what was that?
It can't be all sweetness and light.
Strange. Done that so many times. first kiss to me.
It was, in a way. Besides, once you say I love you, a kiss has to taste differently.
Maybe we ought to test a few other things. Amos's cabin looked cozy.
Not so fast, Geralt. We'll have plenty of time to visit cozy cabins later. But I doubt the world will end if we sit here a while. My, it's lovely.
Think the spirits of Skellige favor us.
Dude, there's no kindness given to you. It's very real, and I really like that, even though it's very cute art style where it's like lines and coloring and very my tools, because I mean I haven't really used them that much. You get some pretty good use out of everything. So I mean, this axe, I'm gonna get a lot of trees cut up with just this axe, just to get through it all. But overall,